Hello, this is going to be lesson number 9 on factoring, and basically it's going to be similar to the previous lesson. The only difference is that now we're going to have a 1 in front of the x squared, and that's going to make our job a little bit easier and shorter. Okay, so let's take a look at these examples. Here I have x squared plus 9x plus 20. Basically, start by asking yourself, what can I factor from all three numbers? And the answer is, I cannot factor anything. So then go ahead and proceed to multiply the invisible 1 here times 20. So this would be 1 times 20 is 20. And then create a list of numbers that give me 20. So it'd be 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 3 does not go into 20, 4 and 5, and that's it. Now that I have these three pairs of numbers, focus your attention on the middle term, and basically I want to have a 9. Does any pair here give me a 9 if I add or subtract? And the answer is yes. 4 and 5 will give you a 9 if you add them, and that's it. Now again, focus your attention on the middle term. The sign of the middle term is positive, so that means my biggest digit here will be positive. And to give me a 9, I need this 4 to be a positive, because positive 5 plus 4 gives me a positive 9. Very well, let's check. A positive times a positive. Does it give me the sign of the last term? Yes, it does. So that means I can use this pair. Now, because this is a 1, basically once you have this, you can go ahead and jump into writing the answer. Basically open two sets of parentheses, and this x squared becomes x and x, and then you just copy the plus 4 and plus 5, and that's it. Okay, just to clarify, here I did on a piece of paper the same problem, but once I got the 4 and 5, I did like the previous process where I broke down the 4 plus 5x and then I grouped them in pairs. So what goes into x and 4x is an x, so I factor out the x, got x plus 4. Here I factor out the 5, got x plus 4, and then what repeats? The x plus 4, x plus 5. What I'm trying to say is that because you have a 1 right here, there is a shortcut, and the shortcut is you don't have to go through this process to get the answer. All you have to do is, once you get those numbers 4 and 5, you can jump right into the answer, and that's it. That only works if there's a 1 there. If there's something other than 1, then you have to use the previous process that you will learn in lesson number 8. Okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and try some more problems. Here I have this trinomial. There's nothing I can factor from all three, so I'm going to multiply 1 times 22 is 22. I'm going to split number 22 into 1 and 22, 2 and 11, and that's it. That's all the numbers that can, when multiplied, give me 22. Now let's focus our attention to 13. Which one of these give me 13? It will be the second one. And sign of the middle term is negative, so the biggest digit will be negative. And that means the 2 have to be negative to give me negative 13. Now, final check. A negative times a negative gives me a positive. Yes, it does. So that means I can use that as my answer. So open two sets of parentheses, and this would be negative 2, and this one would be negative 11. And that would be my answer for this problem. Alright, let's try the next one. The next one would be 1 times 36, which is 36. And let's break it down. the 36 as 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 5 does not go into 36, then 6 times 6, and that's our answer, our list. Now we need to look for something that will give us 11. And as we can see here, nothing here will give us 11. So therefore we write this as prime. Okay? Alright. So let's go on to letter D. So let me bring that to view. Just give me a second here. Alright. Here we have letter D. So again, cannot factor anything from all three. So then multiply the 1 times the 40. Gives us this 40. What numbers give me 40? 1 and 40. 2 and 20. 3 does not go into 40. 4 and 10. 5 and 8. 6 does not go into it. 7 does not go into it. The next number will be 8. 8's already on the list. So we're done. Alright. Now, let's find somebody that gives us 18. So anybody here gives 18? Yes. 2 and 20 gives us 18. So that will be this guys. And now the biggest digit is supposed to have the same sign as the middle term, so this would be a negative. And to give me negative 18, this would have to be a positive. So now, final check. Negative times a positive, does it give me the last sign? Yes, it does. So that means that passes the test. So my answer is going to be Q plus 2, Q minus 20. And that's our answer for this problem. Alright, let's continuing on. Alright, the next one is going to be letter E. And there's nothing I can factor from all three. So let's put a 1 here. 1 times 6 is 6. Numbers give me 6 is 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Focus my attention on the middle term. The middle term is 5. So which one gives me a 5 over here? Both of them give me 5. Number 5 here is a negative, so that means the biggest digit here would have to be negative. And if that's the case, then the 2 here to give me a negative 5 would have to be a negative, and the 1 would have to be a positive. Now final check. Negative times a negative, does it give me this negative? No, it doesn't, so this fails. A negative times a positive gives me a negative. Yes, it does. So that's the numbers that we're going to use for our answer. So we'll open two sets of parentheses and write x and x, and now we're going to write positive 1, negative 6. Okay? Alright. And let's go on to the next one. Next one is letter F. There's nothing I can factor from all three. So 1 times 15 is 15. What two numbers give me 15 is 1 and 15, and 3 and 5. Alright, does anybody give me a 6? And the answer is no. So that means this will be prime. Alright, very well. Let's go on to the next one. Next one, there's nothing I can factor from all three. So let's multiply 1 times 30 equals 30. Numbers give me 30 is 1 and 30. 2 and 15. 3 and 10. 4 does not go into it. 5 and 6. And that's it. Now we're looking for a pair of numbers that give me 13. And in this case I have two possibilities. 3 and 10 and 2 and 15. Now the middle term is a negative number, so that means the biggest digits here are going to be negative. And if that's the case, to give me a negative 13, the 3 would have to be negative and the 2 would have to be positive. Very well. Now I'm going to check the signs. A negative times a negative equals a positive. That's good. A negative times a positive is not equals a positive, so that fails. So that means my answer is going to be A minus 3, A minus 10. Alright. Letter H. There's nothing I can factor from all three. So multiply 1 times 42 is 42. What numbers give me 42? 1 and 42. 2 and 21. 3 and 14. 5 does not go in. 4 does not go into it. 5 does not go into it. 6 and 7. Alright. So, which numbers here would give me 17? The only one that gives us 17 would be 3 and 14. So, the sign of 14 is going to be the same as the middle term, which is negative. And to give me negative 17, what does the 3 have to be? It would have to be a negative. Final check. A negative times a negative gives me a negative. No, it doesn't. So that fails. There's nobody else that gives me 17. So that means this will be prime. Alright, very well. Let's do letter I. We need to factor this guy, and we ask ourselves, what can I factor from all three terms? And in this case, we can factor out an x. So x cubed divided by x is x squared. 3x squared divided by x is 3x. And negative 4x divided by x is negative 4. Now that we have that, inside the parentheses, we're going to apply the strategy that we just learned. 1 times 4 will be 4. So what numbers give me 4? 1 and 4. 2 and 2. Now focus our attention on the middle term. Which one of these pairs give us 3? And it will be 1 and 4. And the middle term is a positive sign. So that means the biggest digit will be positive. And if I have a positive 4 and I want a 3, that means the 1 has to be negative. And final check. A positive times a negative. Does it give me a negative? Yes, it does. So that means my answer is, you need to copy that, bring down the x. This would be x minus 1 and x plus 4. So that will be my answer for this problem. Very well. Alright, here we come to letter J. And again, ask yourself, what can I factor from all three? And in this case, I can factor out a 5 as well as x to the third, because 3 is the smallest exponent. By factoring that, the first term then becomes x squared, negative 25 x to the fourth divided by 5 x to the third becomes negative 5x, and minus 30x cubed divided by 5x becomes negative 6. Now inside the parentheses, you're going to apply the strategy. 1 times 6 is 6. What numbers give me 6? 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and that's it. And which ones give me a 5? The middle term. Both of them give me 5. So that means the middle term is a negative sign, so that means the biggest digit will be negative. And if I want a negative 5 and I have a negative 3, that means the 2 have to be a negative and the 1 would have to be a positive. Final check. A negative times a negative is a negative? No, it isn't. So that doesn't work. And a positive times a negative, is it a negative? Yes, it is. So that means we're going to use this guy right here. So copy the 5x cubed. Cannot forget that. And this would be x plus 1, x minus 6. And that's our answer for this problem. Okay. And by the way, this is a 5 here. Okay. So this concludes lesson number 9. And thank you very much for your time. And have a great day.